I was so busy. I was, very independent, and I did a lot for my kids and my family. And I truly went home and went straight to my bed and cried and cried and cried. Some other friends of ours were traveling through Europe, and it just hit me so hard. I thought, I'll never travel again. Why would I even travel? What's the point? I can't see really anything, so what's the point? I literally just lost it. You know, 3 years ago today, I would have said, no way. Life is never going to get better. Never. It wasn't until I thought about getting an iPad that I went to the Apple store and they told me about VoiceOver. And I went, what? The fact that that stuff is already built into your phone, which my sighted friends are like, you kidding? And I go, I know, who knew, right? It definitely was a struggle for them. I mean, my husband didn't sign up to have a blind wife. My kids didn't sign up to have a blind mom. But then again, I didn't sign up to be blind.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter @blindabilities, and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities.
Did you get that on recording? Because that was good there, Jeff. Just kidding. Good, I think we're done here.
Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson. And today we're talking to Maria Johnson, a.k.a. Girl Gone Blind. She's a blogger, radio personality, fitness instructor, teaches at a blindness training center, does podcasting. She's a mom, and she's on Blind Abilities right now. Welcome to Blind Abilities.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I'm really thrilled to be on your podcast.
Well, it's great to have you on here. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule and giving our listeners a bit of Girl Gone Blind.
Absolutely. Love to do it. You know, I'm a busy gal, but hey, there's always time for a good podcast, right?
That's right. Especially when you're on it.
Absolutely.
Maria, you're already wearing quite a few hats in the blindness world. Why, you can't fit all your titles on a business card anymore. And I know you're recently blind, so could you just go back to the beginning and tell our listeners how Maria Johnson came to be Girl Gone Blind?
So, I was diagnosed with a rare mitochondrial disease called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, or LHON for short. And after I was diagnosed, I had no idea what I was in for. I actually didn't even realize I was going to go legally blind, and there is no treatment or no cure. I guess you could say I went straight to denial, absolute denial. And I truly thought that it wasn't going to be a big deal. Clearly, that wasn't the case. It was a big deal. And a month and a half after I was diagnosed, I was deemed legally blind. And I remember sitting there in my neuro-ophthalmologist chair and just crying and saying, how could this happen? How could I be blind? How could this happen to me? And I left that appointment and thought, my life's over. And how am I going to do all the things that I was doing? You know, I was so busy. I was, very independent. And I did a lot for my kids and my family. And I truly went home and went straight to my bed and cried and cried and cried and thought, was life worth living? I wasn't sure. But slowly, as I started to learn and reach out to other folks who could teach me and help me understand that life was not over, that I was going to be able to make it as a person who was blind, I just needed to learn how. I did a lot of therapy, got involved in the communities online, and I started to figure things out. Now I have become a blogger. I do radio over in the UK. I do a podcast called the LHON Report. I teach classes at our local Braille Institute. I teach health and wellness to the blind. I am still a great mom. And I've learned so much about getting around and becoming independent with orientation and mobility training. I take public transportation. I've learned cooking skills and how to work my computer and how to use VoiceOver, all the things you need to learn to become an independent person. And don't we all want that? I mean, I do, and I had it before, and I want it back again. And I'm still learning every day. And that's just reality. I'm still learning every day. I'm still doing the best that I can. And I hope to continue to do the things that I am still doing now and make them grow and become even better at living this life as somebody affected by LHON.
Maria, that's such a fast pace, such a fast track to blindness that you were on. Do you remember the point where it was so dismal and it changed to something of hope, something that you looked forward to the next morning?
I do remember there was a time where I realized that Maria wasn't lost. That first year, I felt lost. I felt like I was never going to be the Maria I was before the vision loss. I truly thought that person was gone, and how could I ever be the same person again? When I realized I was making a difference and I was setting an example and I was showing my children that I still could be the good mom and the strong mom that I was showing folks in the LHON community that life wasn't over, and I was taking everything that I thought I couldn't do and making them into things that I could do and putting it out there, not only in my personal life, but in a blog to do this on the internet. That's when I realized, I think I'm going to make it, and I think it'll be okay.
And sometimes I think of that as getting yourself back.
Yes. And I realized, Maria's back. Maria's back. And that's exactly what I thought. I go, I think she's coming back. And I'd like to think that I have.
Now, your kids and your family went through this same struggle that you were going through. How have they come back?
It definitely was a struggle for them. I mean, my husband didn't sign up to have a blind wife. My kids didn't sign up to have a blind mom. But then again, I didn't sign up to be blind. So I wanted life to stay normal as possible. And I wanted to keep doing all the things that I could do. But in reality, I couldn't. And, my kids went through a lot of emotional, changes. Same with my husband. And, we did have to kind of just group together and become like a team effort. Because, honestly, I feel that, blindness is a team effort at times. And, your kids, your husband, spouse, partner, whoever, they have to kind of, be on board with, supporting you and helping you get through this time. And all I could do for my family was stay strong, keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other, do things that were going to help me. So then in the long run, I could do things to help them, if that makes sense. O&M training I have done. I use a cane. I have learned to be better in the kitchen. I have learned to work around the things that maybe my other friends can do for their kids that now I do, but I just work around the obstacles. So although my kids have probably turned out a little different in a good way, I think they've matured quicker, they're coping better, and they have become, I think they've become very empathetic to folks who may need an extra helping hand along the way. And I think that's due to the last few years of trying to adjust to living life with a person who is blind in the family, and that would be me.
Now, Maria, you're teaching down at a training center for the blind, and I was just wondering, before you lost eyesight, did you even know that training center existed?
No, I didn't. It's actually right next to a restaurant that I have gone to many, many times. Had no clue it was there. No clue at all. There's two organizations here in San Diego where I live. There's the San Diego Center for the Blind. Had no idea that was there. And then there's the Braille Institute. Had no idea that was there. It wasn't until, it was probably 3-4 months after I was diagnosed that we thought maybe we should go to the Braille Institute, because we Googled it, and talk to somebody there about what are our options and what are some resources. That's how I ended up over there, I have to say I didn't go there, but I went to get some information and realized this was a much bigger world out there than I knew about. And it was very overwhelming, my first visit there. And quite honestly, I didn't want anything to do with it. I left and I went, I never want to go back, ever. It was too much. It was too much for me to take in being so newly diagnosed.
And so at what point did you accept your blindness and accept getting some training?
It was, a few months after that. I was having some hard times, mentally. And a friend of mine was talking about some other friends of ours were traveling through Europe, and it just hit me so hard. I thought, I'll never travel again. Why would I even travel? What's the point? I can't see really anything. So what's the point? And I literally just lost it. And I realized I needed to get some help. But my philosophy for myself was I felt I needed to get help to wrap my head around the idea that I was now dealing with vision loss before I learned to cook, before I learned how to clean my house better, all the tips and tricks and those things, personal grooming, all those things. I knew I needed to mentally get the help I needed. And so that's where I decided to go first. And I started down at the San Diego Center for the Blind, who offers classes and independent living and all of that. But they also had a huge department for counseling and group therapy. And that's where I started because I knew that's what I needed first. I was offered knitting classes and crafts and ceramics and, all of that. And I just thought, why would I want to do that? I need to understand how I'm going to mentally make it through. And I truly believe that is a big part in accepting your life with vision loss is the mental aspect of it.
You were doing fitness training before you lost your eyesight.
Yes, I was. I have been a group fitness instructor for about 15 years now, and I was teaching a couple classes a day at times. I was also running my own boot camp with a business partner, and so I was doing that all previous to losing vision. But that's the one thing is I never stopped teaching the whole time I was losing vision. Because one, I didn't know what was going on. I'd be walking in a class with dilated eyes and the whole thing and just going, oh yeah, I had a doctor's appointment. Again, that's how I just didn't think anything was really wrong. I never stopped because I thought if I stopped teaching group fitness, then that's one thing that blindness will have taken away from me. It was not going to take that away. It was not going to win. Let me put it that way. It was not going to win.
You had a constant.
Yes. That was my norm. And I had to keep anything that was still my norm.
Yeah, if you can keep doing it, keep doing it. Now, Maria, is this when you decided to start your blog, Girl Gone Blind?
Well, the blog got started because I've always wanted to do a blog, honestly. And when I was in the height of my health and fitness, I thought, I'm going to do a blog. I'm going to write about health and fitness, and this is going to be great and wonderful, and where I could promote my boot camp, my classes, and all of that good stuff. But I just never did because I was too busy, didn't have time, all of that. Well, I toyed around with it. One of my really good friends is a graphic designer, and she offered to help design my website. And I wrote that first blog and thought, am I really doing this? I pick losing vision, and now I decide to write the blog. Okay, can we make it any harder? And I thought this was one way that I could put out to the world what it's like for me to lose vision later in life and what those experiences might be, good, bad, ugly, funny, as somebody who lost vision unexpectedly. And that's as simply as it got started. And I thought, why not? Let's go for it. Who knew it would have taken off the way it did? I certainly didn't think it would, and it has.
Yeah, I remember when your blog first came out, I believe it was 2-3 years ago. It was colorful, precise, they weren't too long. I really enjoyed it, so I subscribed to it, and I've been listening ever since.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And nice knowing that I have one subscriber. I You know what? I tell it like it is. I don't sugarcoat it. They're real experiences. They're my life, my real life, and what I go through. My blog is not a one size fits all, for sure. And, for the most part, I've gotten really, really, really good response from my blog. And I love adding a flair to it. I dictate it all, by the way. I dictate my blog. And people say, I feel like you're talking, like I feel like you're actually having a conversation. And it's true because I'm dictating it. So maybe that comes off a little differently than if somebody's typing a blog. I don't know. But dictation has been my mode on really long pieces. And I think that it probably adds to the creativity in a way because I'm just blurting out my thoughts, really.
And it probably enhances your spell checking abilities.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I don't know how to spell anything. I just say it and it spells it for me. It's great.
Speaking of editing, how many times do you go over it and then you post it and still you go over it?
Yeah.
Because once you put it out there, it's out there.
Oh, 100 times. Absolutely. Oh, I do. I read it 100. I read it 1,000,000 times before I post it. And then I read it like 100 times after I post it. And honestly, I do go in and edit after I post it because something won't sound quite right. Or, maybe I do find an error, a misspell or whatnot. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. I like things to be perfect. And that has been a huge issue, losing vision and my perfectionism, if you will. I literally will stay up at night, midnight, 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, oh, this would sound so much better. And I'll get up at 2 a.m. and I'll go back to the blog and I will rework a sentence because it bothers me. It's my brand. It's who I am. And if I put something out there that I'm not entirely happy with, then, that's going to come back, and a more recent blog, I did go in and edit quite heavily because I thought it was the right thing to do. But that's a whole nother podcast, Jeff. But it's the first blog that I have actually made a side note on it that this was edited, on purpose. And it was just something that had to be done. So, but it's good now. It's all good.
The comforts of knowing there's editors.
I love editing.
Oh, yeah.
I love the magic of editing. Trust me.
Pay the editors well.
Exactly.
So, like when you're doing your live shows with RNIB, there is no editing. You're live.
Yeah.
You are listening to RNIB Connect Radio. Spring is finally here, but that doesn't always mean the sun is shining. As such, we at RNIB Connect Radio always like to bring the summer by transporting you now to sunny San Diego in California as we chat to our girl gone blind, Maria Johnson. How are you this morning, Maria?
I'm great. How are you, Chris?
I'm very good. All the better for hearing you. How is the weather over there in San Diego just now?
Well, what a wonderful introduction, I must say. And the weather has...
Can you tell our listeners how it came out that you're on the radio? Well,
I was found on Twitter. I was contacted by RNIB Connect Radio, which is the big organization, Royal National Institute for the Blind in the UK. And they asked if I'd be interested in doing a fitness segment on their one of their morning programs. And I thought about it for about 2 minutes and went, yes, I would. So that's how that got started, was all from Twitter. When I started doing the fitness segments, it was called Focus on Fitness. And I was doing very descriptive workouts, maybe 15-minute segments. And they would be recorded and I have them all linked up on my website. And then slowly the segment turned into more of a chat with Girl Gone Blind. And now it's not all about fitness, although I do fitness segments once a month. But now it's just Girl Gone Blind chat. Maybe it's about my blogs. Maybe it's about something that happened. Maybe it's just about, whatever. It's just once a week, Thursdays in the UK. RNIB has this internet radio, and I'm on their morning mix once a week. So it's been so much fun. I absolutely love to do it. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret that for the most part, they're recorded. We actually record them and they do get edited. But every now and again, I do need to go on live. And the time difference is a little killer, Jeff. I go on at noon in the UK, and they are 8 hours ahead. So if you do the math, I usually have to be sitting at my computer at 3:45 a.m. ready to go.
I hear you.
Yeah. I don't mind doing that.
That's not even morning voice.
It's what happened. You got hit by a truck and you haven't recovered voice.
The red eye.
It is so red eye. Yeah. Like I might as well not even go to bed. It's one of those things. Plus I panic. I'm not going to wake up in time. It's like you have a flight and you panic. You're never going to wake up. So you don't sleep really at all. So I'm sleep deprived. I've had no coffee and I'm sitting at my computer ready for the Skype call and going on live. We try and not make the producer do too much work. We try and make it easy for him. And I just have a blast doing it. And I wish I could do it more.
You guys got a great gift of gab.
Yeah.
I hear you. You guys are pretty cheerful, and you come across pretty cheerful for 3:45 in the morning.
Oh boy, you really have to dig deep. Let me tell you, you have to dig real deep for that one, for sure. But no, I absolutely love it. The gal I do it with now, Jill Barkley, she is just awesome, and she's actually had been blind for 21 years. And she is just a riot. And we connected immediately. From the minute we first met, we've been connected at the hip, if you will, across the seas as really, really quite good friends. Good friends who've never met in person, if there's such a thing. But now I know there is, and she's wonderful.
Yeah, that's really something. The fact that you have friends on the internet 10 years ago, that would have been like taboo in a sense. But I've had friends from South Africa, Malaysia, England, Hawaii, all the way across the world. And, they're good friends.
Yeah. These are folks that I've met because of my vision loss. These are opportunities I never would have had. Now, people ask me, if you could have your vision back, would you take it back? And absolutely in a heartbeat, yes. But then again, I have had some great opportunities and have met some wonderful people like yourself, Jeff, because of my vision loss. I guess, it is what you make of it. You put yourself out there if you want, and some people don't. And if you do, some really great friendships and some really great things can happen.
Just keep moving forward.
That's it.
So what advice would you have for someone who is going through your same experiences? They're starting the journey that you embarked on unexpectedly?
Well, what I would tell them for sure first is that I get it and I understand everything they're going through. I went through, as you said, Jeff, went through the turnstiles into the blind world. I have not forgotten what that was like. And I don't think I ever will. I honestly don't, because it was very traumatic, and it was a really, really hard time for me. And I know what people did for me as far as getting on the phone and talking with me. And I know how much that meant to me. So I know when I get on the phone with people who are newly into vision loss, I know what it means to have somebody on the phone that understands what you're saying. I do try to tell them that, it's going to be hard at first, and you're going to go through some really, really hard times, and it's okay. And that's normal, and it's expected. So don't think that any type of, depression or sadness or anger is wrong, because it's completely normal. Your bad days will become less, and the good days will become more. And, the light will shine at some point, and you'll get kind of past the mental hardship. I'm not going to say it goes away, but it just doesn't hurt as much. And, there's less tears and more smiles. But you also have to help yourself. And I always say, when the time's right, you'll be ready for that help, whether it's learning voiceover, it's O&M training, it's attending some sort of blind independent living skills. It's getting involved in blind community, which I think is really important. And, maybe making a few, 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, friends in the blind world. And because those people will help you understand everything you go through. And when maybe your family or friends don't understand, you can lean on your friends who are, going through the same thing because of their vision loss. So I kind of come from the mental side of things because that was so important to me. And, when people, they're afraid to go through the storm. And I realized and I learned if you don't go through the storm's always going to be there. So you need to go through it, come out of it, and the sun shines. And not to say there's not going to be another storm ahead, because there will be. There will be. It just may not be as big of a storm or as long of a storm, but there'll be another one. And don't be afraid of it. Sit in it, get through it, and then go on. And that was one thing I had to learn, and I tell people that all the time. And I don't know if it brings them comfort or not to know that when they go down for a day or two because they're, upset, angry, fearful, devastated, that it's okay. And you have to do it because it won't last forever. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but that's what I'm there for, to let them know it won't last forever. And then they have me to talk to if they need to, because no one should feel alone going through vision loss. And they need to know there's people out there that can, virtually or over the phone hold their hand. And I hope that I can do that for people.
And to think that not long ago, you were seeking help and guidance from others, and now people are turning to your blog and your radio station to get guidance from you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I'm just a mom who unexpectedly lost her vision. I have been in the business, if you will, of helping others through health and fitness. So maybe I already had, I've had that in me. I've been I've volunteered at my kids' schools since they were, in kindergarten. One's in college, one's about to graduate high school now. I've always been that person to be involved. I'm an extrovert. Shocker, I know. All of my life experiences, I've just kind of maybe have led up to being able to, help me tackle this, if you will. But then, put it out there to do some good. It does make me feel really, really good when I can help somebody have a better day when they didn't think they could. I don't know, maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I love this tea. So I just love doing it.
And you are doing that. You're doing a great job with that, with your blog, your presence on the radio. Keep up the good work. And I got a question for you. PC or Apple?
Apple.
There you go.
I have a Mac, and I love it. I use the accessibility features on my Mac. I don't use Zoom Text or JAWS or any of those other things. With the built-in features, I have learned, I'm not that good at it, but I've learned from some of the tech support people at the Braille Institute that I should be able to do everything I need to do just using the built-in accessibility features on my Mac. So I do what I can with what's already built in.
Do you use iPhone?
Oh,
do you?
Do I use iPhone? Yes. Oh my gosh. I have an iPhone and an iPad.
You got the whole orchard.
Oh yeah, I've got all the apples. Now I don't have a laptop, but I have a desktop, and that's all I use for now. I had an iPhone when I lost vision, and I realized, I really couldn't see the phone screen anymore. What I first did was I went and bought an Android because they had the big screens then. And I thought, well, a big screen, I'm going to be able to see this. This is the answer. Well, little did I know, again, denial, that my vision was going to decline to the point where the big screen didn't work either. So there I was stuck with this Android that I honestly never really got used to using. So it wasn't until I thought about getting an iPad that I went to the Apple store and they told me about VoiceOver. And I went, what? Sure enough, I took a little class. They have accessibility classes at Apple stores. You have to call them and find out when they are. And they started telling me all about this VoiceOver, and I just about fell off my chair. I went, you're kidding me. And I took my brand new iPad home and try and figure out this VoiceOver. And it was old dog, new tricks, Jeff. I was like, are you kidding me? How am I supposed to learn this? This is going to be way too hard. I don't want to use it. And I was still in my little grumpy, I don't want to be blind. And this is crazy. I shouldn't have to do this. But I stuck with it. And of course now it's second nature, tap, tap, double tap, swipe, 3-finger, all that stuff. And that's how I use all the devices. People will say to me, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm sending a text message. And they're like, but you keep hitting your phone. I go, yeah, that's how I do a text message. And I'm usually always plugged in. I don't like my business being out there for the whole world to hear, as you know how that is. I always have a Bluetooth earpiece in or earbuds. I have my voiceover, it's very, very fast. As you may understand that after years of using it, you kind of know what she's going to say, right? You know what the voice is going to say.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we're talking really fast. Double tap. Yeah. So, yeah, double tap, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay. And I'll have a text message. Say I don't have a, connected device in my ears, and I'll just tap on it and it just reads out loud. And someone will say, whoever I'm with will say, what did they just say? And I go, exactly. You're like, exactly. I don't want you to understand what it's saying because it's my text message. I mean, nothing to hide, but, and they go, how do you even understand that? I go, well, I just do, you become accustomed to it. And you just, you can interpret everything that she's saying. When I talk to new folks on the phone, as we discussed, these people don't even know about voiceover. And if they have an iPhone, I'll tell them about it. But I won't say too much because I know it can be so overwhelming. The fact that you can turn this feature on and all of a sudden your phone starts talking to you, everything you touch can be overwhelming. And I'll tell them about it. I'll tell them a couple quick things. And then I say, practice that. I go, get a feel for what the phone can do for you. And I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. It's going to open your world up again, because that's what it did for me. So they are blown away when they find out about voiceover. And I know exactly what that felt like because, but I was still kind of mad no one told me about it, Jeff. It took me, the Apple guy, to tell me about voiceover.
Well, Maria, we're making friends out there on the internet. We're making friends in the community. And that's really what it's about, networking and making friends.
The friends I have made in this community, I mean, they just came out of the woodwork, and they are my team. My family's my team. My gym members are part of my team, and my technology is part of my team. And I just couldn't make it and be happy without every single one of them or any device that I use. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I feel, and I am grateful.
Oh, it's networking. Yeah. And just like I mentioned, you got the whole apple orchard. An apple tree doesn't make it as well as it does without the whole orchard in real life. That's why they grow them all close together. Mm-hmm. Nothing survives isolated, and that's what you can do with blindness. It's so easy to isolate yourself, and I don't want to play with that phone. I don't want to try that. But once you get out and start kicking it around a little bit, pretty soon it keeps on moving in the right direction, and you keep moving forward. And I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, it really is. And again, 3 years in, I've met with folks who are literally, a month into vision loss, and they were a business owner, and they are literally, these are grown men in their 60s who are literally in tears. How are they going to continue working their business? How are they going to continue, life? And, I say, you can and you will, but it's going to take some work, and it's going to take time. Isn't time, Jeff, time is what it's all about. Everything takes time.
Mm-hmm. Time is a great healer.
It is. It really, really is. Because, 3 years ago today, I would have said, no way. Life's never going to get better. Never. And now here I am on a podcast with you, writing a blog. I have another podcast recording next week. I have my UK radio going. Never. But again, I've just let time heal, and I've just let the time take me where I'm going to go. And not that I'm sitting back waiting for it all to magically happen. No way. But, days pass, and like I said, the sun gets a little brighter. The smile comes back on your face. You realize you're still the person you were, but it does take some work. It really does.
And it takes time. It takes experience. You're not going to get it by just having that one person come up and say everything's going to be okay, and then go, oh, okay. It's just little bits. It's the small little pieces, one step at a time, and pretty soon it's a mile, and pretty soon you're halfway around the world, and Even though I've had my blindness for quite a few more years, I'm still learning another thing. I'm still doing, this technology for everybody is changing so fast. Listen to a podcast and go, wow, they got this. Wow, we're on the moon.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. And like I said, everyone learns differently. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone's stage of vision loss, again, born blind or age of vision loss, which means you're at a different place in your life. So, you may be a teenager, you may be 30, you may be almost 50 like me. You may have a family, you may be single, you may be a single parent. And that's all different.
Exactly. We're so uniquely different. Everybody's journey is their own journey. It's unique to them. Just like my journey is so unique to me that it's my journey, and Maria's journey is unique to hers. And she's sharing it on her blog page, girlgoneblind.com. Check it out on the web. Follow her on Twitter at girl_gone_blind on Twitter. Well, Maria Johnson, this has been a great interview, great time talking with you. I got to know you a lot more, and so have our listeners. So thank you so much for coming on to Blind Abilities and sharing your stories.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time, and what a fun interview. I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope we can do it again another time, Jeff.
We will. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.
It was such a great time talking to Maria Johnson, a.k.a. Girl Gone Blind. We talked so much before the podcast even started, then even afterwards we carried on. It was an awesome conversation. We just dug in, and you too can dig in. Check her out on the web, girlgoneblind.com, and on Twitter, girl_gone_blind. And tune in to RNIB Connect Radio from the UK, where you can hear Maria Johnson talking about, Girl Gone Blind. All right. I want to thank all of you for listening. And until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through
each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the realities
of blind abilities.
The realities of blind
abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, Blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.